Oh, hello. This is Brave Sir Robin coming to you from Parts Unknown. First thing I want to talk to everybody about today, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who left me feedback for my previous video. It's very well appreciated. It's the first video I ever did, and I hope to get better with time and hopefully takes a lot of the advice that I was given. Main thing I do want to address, I know I was speeding through a lot of the last one, mostly to keep within YouTube's 15-minute time limit. So to counter that this time, I'm going to actually try to break this video into two parts so I can talk about everything that I wanted to talk about. Main thing I was really disappointed in, I actually don't think I got across how excruciatingly bad the end segment of that last DVD was with the crucifixion and the wrestlers bowing to him. That, and I mean, I don't even think my words could describe it. Just seeing it, you're just like, wow, like they're doing that. It's really quite amazing that they would even try. Like I said, I've got nothing against religious people, but it's not something I'm going to put on a wrestling show, and they went overboard with this. And also, like, hopefully, I'm going to try to slow down my talking, as I said, try to keep within reason. I was tearing through. I was so nervous last time. Hopefully I'll get through a lot of that now. I'm going to slow down. I still got my notes next to me so I can hit all my key points. So the DVD I'm going to talk about today for this special review is Pro Wrestling Guerrilla Kurt Russellmania. Some of you may know this as Kurt Russell Reunion. It actually turns out they had to change the name of the DVD because somebody didn't like it being called Kurt Russellmania. It's actually part of the Wrestle Reunion show that High Spots hosts every once in a year, where they bring in international stars and legends, and they actually have Ring of Honor and Pro Wrestling Guerrilla run a show on the same weekend. And as you can see, I have an early print run DVD before they had to make the change, so that's kind of cool. If we start off with the DVD, Excalibur is in the ring. And he's welcoming everybody to the show. They're laying out some ground rules to the fans. Apparently, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla has a history of the fans getting a little too rowdy, like throwing stuff in the ring and stuff. So he's addressing that. But then he's interrupted by the Young Bucks and Brian Kendrick. The Young Bucks come out. The fans was already starting to turn on them. I think they were pretty much still faces at this point, but kind of in between. I don't know why the fans turned on. It's just probably chance of same old shit and stuff like that. I disagree with it because I think the Young Bucks are great. But they get on the mic, they make a special announcement. They no longer want to be called the Young Bucks. They want to be called Generation Me, which is their TNA names. At the time of this taping, they had just actually made their debut for TNA. So they give special shout-outs to Dixie Carter and to Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan and the Nasty Boys. And this works because if there's any way you want to piss off a bunch of indie snobs, it's talking about TNA. And my God. So, and that also leads to seeing that we're big TNA stars. We no longer need you, Brian Kendrick, which is funny because he was in TNA not long after. But they start to double team beat down Brian Kendrick, which leads to Paul London making the save. He gets on the mic, and my God, never let Paul London on the mic. He just rambles. He goes off in stoner jargon. He refers to Excalibur as Octagon. I think somewhere in that mess he makes a challenge saying we want to have a reunion of Brian Kendrick and Paul London against the Young Bucks. So now we cut to the first match of the night, an 8-person tag match where we have Malachi Jackson, Johnny Goodtime, Jerome LTP Robinson, and Candice LeRae versus the Cutler Brothers, Ryan Taylor and Christina Von Eerie, intergender. So, doing commentary is Colt Cabana and Chris Hero. It's also worth noting in this match, the women wrestle the guys, and they pretty much go at it just same as anybody. They take just as hard bumps, especially Candice LeRae. She's really good at playing a good sympathetic underdog as the guys are dominating her. A couple different points, we have a face team being worked on and making the hot tag. Eventually things just break down, and then we get a lot of near falls, a lot of high impact moves, and eventually the Cutlers hit a double team assisted spike tombstone where like one of the Cutlers has Candice in a tombstone, the other one jumps up and spikes her, and that's how they get the pin. Pretty much a good match for getting everybody on the card, just like WCW would do. A good exciting one, gets the crowd warmed up. It worked, so it was good. That was a good match. Next up is Brandon Bonham versus Brandon Gatz. And Excalibur rejoins his commentary, and versus this is the Battle of the Brandons, as the obvious joke. It's not a bad match by any means at all. Both guys are very capable wrestlers, but you gotta think, with the star power of the rest of this show, like, it kind of stands out. It's skippable, but it's still good. I mean, they're good wrestlers. Brandon Bonham wins. He wins with this strange move I've never seen before, where he holds him in like a sidewalk stand and just flips him and gets and lands on his face. Actually, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. It was actually Getz in that one. They mix. What can I say? Excalibur is back in the ring, and he's doing some announcing. He announces some changes to the scheduled card tonight. Most notable of which being Chuck Taylor being unable to make it due to the weather, which leads to some fans starts yelling, "Bullshit, we want Chuck." And Excalibur just shuts this guy up. He says, "Do you even own a snowplow, asshole?" It was awesome. It was hilarious. That's why we love Excalibur. Also, it allows them to make the Young Bucks versus London and Kendrick official. Because they were supposed to be facing the team of Chuck Taylor and Human Tornado, but now they can't because Chuck Taylor's not there. So because of these changes, we get the Human Tornado, who is now facing Super Crazy, who the crowd is very excited for. Human Tornado starts out aggressive, and he's pretty much playing the heel, which I think he was a face at the time. I guess because he's fighting Super Crazy, he's going to heel it up tonight. I've read criticism about this match on like the Pro Wrestling Guerrilla message board. I don't really get it though. I thought it was good. I mean, the two didn't even know they were wrestling each other. They probably never wrestled each other before, not in any instance I can think of. So they still do pretty good. Tornado wins with the Pimp Slap followed by the DND. It's like a version of the Regalplex almost. And then the Cancun Tornado, which most of you may know as the AJ Styles' Spiral Tap. Next up is Kevin Steen versus Davey Richards. The segment starts out with Steen riling up the crowd, which he's really good at. Anybody can piss off a crowd, it's Kevin Steen. He has this fan out there, looks like they're about to have an altercation, and then he just grabs the fan by the face and kisses him. So, that's funny. They end up brawling through the crowd. There's a bit of shenanigans, even though it's a lot of hard hitting. They end up brawling through the crowd. They actually ended up at the live band, which was there to play Rob Van Dam's theme song. Rob Van Dam's in the main event of the show tonight. And Davey gets on the drums. He does a rim shot, and the crowd just like, ah! Then Excalibur points out, there's somebody here with a lot of musical talent, and it's not Rob Van Dam's friend. That's a burn, I guess, because Rob Van Dam's theme song is pretty damn bad. Steen gets on the mic, tells Davey that his music sucks, leads to more brawling. Both guys are just having fun. They're just saying stuff to each other and hitting each other. I got no problem with that. It's actually some good psychology there too, because Davey's working on Kevin Steen's arm the whole match. So Steen attempts to go for the package pile driver, that's his finisher, and because his arm is too hurt, he's unable to hit it, which leads to Davey reversing a schoolboy attempt into a code red arm breaker and picking up the win by submission. It works that way. I mean, that makes sense. So that's good. The next match is Joey Ryan and Scott Lost against the Great Muta and Kai. Kai I don't know much about. He's from Japan with Muta. It's actually a really big deal that PWG is bringing in the Great Muta because he doesn't come over very often. It's part of the Wrestle Reunion show where High Spots pays for the wrestlers they would normally not be able to bring in and have them on the show. Ever since WCW would be doing it, it always was a special treat to watch the Great Muta be brought in. And it seems Ryan and Scott Lost are really enjoying wrestling these legends and they're wrestling their A game. They're usually, not going to say that they're comedy guys, but there's usually a lot of shenanigans in their match, and this time not so much. They're really trying to put out an impressive showing, and they do a good job. I think both are very good. It's too bad Scott Lost isn't wrestling anymore, but Ryan is really good. He's still wrestling now, and you can see him not only Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, but he's a big part of NWA Hollywood, which I recommend checking out too. There was a funny part in commentary. Excalibur points out, while Joey Ryan seems to be a bit in awe of the Great Muta because he's legendary, Scott Lost doesn't seem to mind. Because Joey Ryan actually watched WWF and WCW growing up, so he knows about the Great Muta. But Scott Lost only watched WWF, so unless Great Muta ever wrestled Bret Hart, Scott Lost has never seen a match of his in his life. I laughed, because I pretty much fall in that same boat too, to be honest. And they actually win. Everything Muta does the whole match, the crowd marks out for it. Every time he hits the elbow, he marks out. It goes for a moonsault attempt, they mark out. So naturally, when he hits Scott Lost with the green mist and then a shining wizard, the crowd just erupts. They love that. The next match, it's a dream match of sorts. It's El Generico versus Jushin Liger. Which, Liger's a legend in Japan. I don't need to tell you who he is. And I've seen Generico, he's been criticized. I've seen people call him like, he's just bad comedy. His gimmick is, he's this skinny Canadian guy wearing a mask. Not that I know anything about that, but they think, oh well, how good is this match going to be? And it's quite good. Generico is a very good wrestler. I mean, maybe the gimmick might hold him back, but I got no problem with it. It's very good. Liger does a great job in this match, making him look like $1,000,000. There were a lot of points where it looked like anybody could have won. Eventually, Liger does win with the Liger Bomb and then a Brainbuster. I mean, it makes El Generico look better by comparison, even in loss. That's what he should be doing. this is the best, like that. For that reason, I think this is the best match of the night, just because it could have went either way. And like I said, even in loss, El Generico still looks good.